Today, I'm going to talk about why growing cool season grass in the summer is not a good idea. Let's get out of the weeds. Thank you all for coming back to yet another video. If you saw my last video, I went through my process of planting grass seed in my backyard and trying to do it in the summer months. Now, I got the grass seed down right around Memorial Day, which for us here in Indiana is right at the time where it's going to start getting higher temperatures and a lot less rain. And this has absolutely been brutal. We've had a lot of 90-degree temperature days throughout the last couple months. And so I've been putting a ton of water on it, but as you'll see here, it has not been a very successful seeding. So let's check it out. So here is my backyard. Now, from a distance, it doesn't really look too bad. So you look through and you see, okay, you can tell there's some stuff that's a little off, discolored and things. But overall, you think, oh, it doesn't really look too bad. But if you look a little bit closer, you can see that about 80% of my yard is not desirable grass. It's mostly weeds. If you look a little close, you can see a little bit of the good grass, but then you start seeing it's mostly grassy weeds. We got a little bit of crabgrass here starting to kind of grow. Got a little bit of everything, but if you look through my lawn, most of it is weeds. Very little desirable grass. Now it's green because it's been getting a ton of water, but if you see the discolored part right here, yep, all weed. No good grass in there at all. See, we got some clover in here, some more clover in here, some more crabgrass mixed in there, and some spots that nothing came up. You can still see some rocks and that in there. And it's pretty much the story of the entire lawn. So if you get to this side here, there's still quite a lot of weeds. But if you look down closely in here, you got a good bit of good grass in there. So it wasn't all bad, but it's still a ton of weeds down through here. And I've been putting a ton of water on this, so it all came up pretty much through the whole thing. There's very little bare spots, just not a lot of good grass. So if you follow the channel, I actually killed everything off in the backyard here before I did my seeding job. And it was for the most part completely dead. Literally nothing really growing up in the back at all. Well, the thing is with glyphosate is that it kills weeds that are already up, but it doesn't harm any seeds that haven't germinated yet. And with this yard here, it used to be cornfield. This is a newer development, so it used to all just be cornfield. So there's all kinds of crap just lying in wait here. And so me doing that one round of glyphosate, yeah, it may have knocked out that, but it was right at the time when everything else was getting ready to germinate, and I just started fertilizing and putting water on it. It all popped up real quick, and it just outcompeted any chance of the new grass. So that leads me into a little list of why trying to grow grass in the summer is not a great idea for us cool season people. Number one, the temperature. Cool season grass likes that sweet spot to be somewhere between kind of 55 to 85. When you're in between that range, the grass is going to grow pretty good. When you start going above into the mid 80s and higher, your cool season grass is not going to be rapidly growing, and it's not going to want to germinate. So if you're going from just seed, it's not going to have a lot of incentive to just come out and start growing for you, because cool season grass doesn't thrive in really high temperatures. And so going into the summer, you're just asking to start getting these high 80s into the 90s temperatures. If you're farther south in Indiana, maybe even higher than that. But as we get to number two, weeds. They thrive in the summer when there's just barren dirt just all sitting there exposed and open, and now I'm throwing fertilizer on it, throwing water on it. It's just perfect for the weeds. And so the weeds are just going to outcompete any of your new grass seed in the summer. And that's kind of why also within the spring, why it's not as recommended to grow grass seed as what it is typically for the fall for us in the cool season. Because in the spring, that's when everything kind of starts ramping up with the weeds and everything. As you get to the fall, most of your weed competition is already exposed for the year. And so it kind of gives you that prime time where you have this little bit of a sweet spot where you're not having a bunch of fresh new weeds trying to pop up in your yard as you're trying to grow grass seed. You're able to take care of what's there and then start from scratch kind of in the fall. So the next reason why growing grass in the summer is not a great idea is the watering situation. If you've seen from my last video, I have like 5 sprinklers set up right now that are just trying to water the whole backyard. And you can see it's getting enough water because I'm getting results. I'm getting stuff to grow here. The problem is that this isn't a sustainable option for most people. I have hoses literally running around here all the time. Everything's on timers and everything's just sitting out. So my wife doesn't like it, and so it's just, this isn't a great option. It's just something, but you have to kind of do it if you're trying to grow grass in the summer. I just can't get away with there's just no way that I'm going to get enough help from Mother Nature here in the summer. Whereas when I get into the fall, the temperature is going to drop a little bit and the lawn is just going to require a little bit less water than what it's going to, say, in a 95-degree temperature day. So where do I go from here? Obviously, this was kind of a failed lawn experiment that I tried here on my yard, but I wanted to see what would happen. So what I'm going to do now is, since I'm here kind of in late July, I'm going to kind of just limp the lawn along for about the next month or so, trying to get in right around that Labor Day time frame where I can really kind of just go to work and attack the lawn and try to get me a nice, beautiful, lush lawn. There's very little that I'm going to be able to do right now though, just because of the temperatures and everything I just explained at the beginning of this video. So if you're someone who just has a small patch or so in your lawn, by all means, try to fix that patch, try to grow a small area. But if you're trying to do just a widespread, huge area, this is not the time to try to make gains on your lawn, especially for the cool season. Right now, if you have a somewhat decent lawn, or you're a lawn that's like, it needs some work, wait to do the work. We're not quite there yet. We're in the heat of the summer, so just kind of limp your lawn along until we can get into kind of more optimal conditions to really kind of try to make those gains. That's going to be what I'm going to try to do here. When we start getting right around Labor Day, I'm going to get a plan of action together, and I'm going to rehab this lawn the right way. And so that way, going into the winter, I can have a lawn that I can be proud of. So there's still going to be a lot of work to do to get my lawn looking good, and so that I don't lose my channel name out of the weeds, because right now we're in a lot of weeds. But sometimes you got to get into the weeds before you can get out of the weeds.